Can a single act of love start a new world? Hey guys, it's John sitting here at my dining room table, and I wanted to hop on and talk about this concept of a single act of love. You know, right now we're living in a very tumultuous world. There are people who are arguing and fighting, and ideologies are clashing right and left. But during these times of struggle, during these times of massive growth, one of the things that happens that is so pervasive is people forget to be loving. People forget that when someone is doing something hateful, harmful, angry, sad, frustrated, those are all fears manifesting into the physical world, into the collective consciousness. But the choice to be loving and to do a simple loving thing does create change, because people, in that moment of feeling that love coming from you, in that moment of feeling that expression of love, they exhale. They release their fears and anxieties because they don't feel like they have to fight. They don't feel like there's a struggle in front of them. The key is to recognize that everyone wants to be loved. Everyone wants to live in a loving world. Everyone wants their family to love them and them to love their family and to see their family inherit a loving world. Everyone wants that. Everyone's hoping for that. How they go about it is a very different aspect of it. Whether they're focused on making enough money to make that happen rather than focusing on just loving is a different aspect. But it is their path. It's what they are choosing to do in that time. Can a simple, loving thought change the world? It's the only thing that ever has. Someone who has literally decided to create a more loving way overcame the negative constructs of others that are based out of their fears. Someone chose to be loving. Someone chose to be caring. Someone chose to step up and be the loving aspect in the world. You know, we live in this collective consciousness. And in this collective consciousness, it takes people choosing to be loving for a loving world to come to be. But no one wants to be told what to do. No one wants to have their beliefs dictated to them. They want to find those things. But what's interesting is they all want to be loved. And so when they find the thing that creates the most loving, caring world, they tend to lean into it because it's the place where they feel better. And when someone chooses to love instead of hate, they are literally giving that person an off-ramp of their negativity, an off-ramp from their fears and their anxieties. It gives them the opportunity. Now, once they take that opportunity, and not all of them will, but once someone takes that opportunity, you've changed that one person. That one person, because now they feel more positive, are going to be more positive. They're going to create. And then we end up with the butterfly effect. You know, the little wing of a butterfly on one side of the world creates the tsunami on the other side of the world, just by the actions of the motion, the feeling of the wave, the beauty of the wing flapping. It all comes and creates, and it builds upon itself exponentially. We have the ability in this moment to step up and choose to do the loving thing, no matter what they're saying or doing. You know, one of the most loving things to do is when you see something that's being thrust upon you that's not loving, is to be non-compliant. Don't comply with things that are not loving. Buddha said, what you think you become, you create your world. You create your world by what you think. And if you think fearfully, you're going to express fearful into the world, and fearful things are going to happen around you. If you express love into the world and you express love to others, especially when they're fearful, perfect love drives out fear. You express that love, you show them that they're safe, they're fine. You show them a pathway towards their family and themselves having and experiencing love in their life. When you deliver that love, you're delivering this new world that is well on its way. We are well on the way for this happening. The things that are happening right now are just the growing pains, the people who are struggling against change. But in reality, we are well on the way to a more loving world. And that's easy to prove. Just talk to any of the younger generation. They don't have the same biases that we had even 40 years ago. There is less homophobia. There's less racial intolerance. There's less gender bias. You know, when I was young, the racial differences were vast. You don't see that anymore because we have started changing towards a more loving world. And all of this turmoil that's happening right now is older people trying to hold on to power. And that power is to be able to subjugate others. Well, the world is becoming less subjugated. And the people who are trying to force their subjugation on you are losing. And that's why they're as loud as they are. That's why they're doing the things that seem most horrific, because they've lost. They're trying to stop a giant cargo ship of love from turning, but it's been turning for miles. And there's no way their little actions can change that world towards their negative aspect, because we've already changed the world towards a positive.
And now, a quick word from our sponsor. Coffee Time with John. This channel runs off coffee, so get your coffee and tea at johnsjoe.com.
If you believe that God, source, consciousness, yada yada, whatever you call it, is love, then being love in the world is expressing that source, that love, that God into the world. You are the delivery method of that love. You are the delivery method of that beauty that the world is becoming. And the more of you who lean into that loving life, that loving experience, you're going to start to see people around you becoming more and more loving, becoming more and more caring. And it comes back to you taking this moment to say, yes, I am someone who is loving. I am seeing their anger and their vitriol. It's just their fears. And I'm going to help them find a world that is loving. And I'm going to help them see that if we come together and work together, we can create a loving world where everybody has equal chances, equal possibility. Everyone's loved and cared for. We don't need to judge others for anything unless they are harming someone. In which, if they're harming someone, they're the fearful ones. They're the ones we have to show the most love to so they can break out of that fear cycle. Whatsoever you do to the least of my brothers, that you do unto me. That action that you take, that where you treat someone kindly, you affect everybody else in the world, because that person is going to create that ripple effect. Whatsoever you do to the least of my brothers, that you do unto me. The least are the most fearful. And when you take that moment of saying, I am going to help that fearful person release their fear. Buddha says the secret to enlightenment is eradication of fear. So you help them alleviate their fear. How? Perfect love drives out fear. You be loving to them. You show them a safe place. You show them the possibilities of their future to be a loving place. The more love you spread, the more the ripple effect goes. That simple thought of love over succumbing or submitting to their fears means you're now living your life and not theirs. You're now changing their opportunity to create a loving world with you, as opposed to fighting against you. You can't be in a fight unless you choose to be in a fight. The best way to not be in a fight is don't be in one. Don't start a fight. Don't get into a fight. Someone wants to start a fight with you, don't get into it. You'll oftentimes see on my comment section of my videos, someone will try to start a fight, and I'll usually respond with something like, nice try, not going there with you. Because I'm not. I have no need to defend love. Love is everything. I have no need to defend my faith because I'm confident in it. They want to start an argument to defend their faith because they're not. And it's the same thing with love. If you believe in love, don't take the religion out of it. Take the doctrines, dogmas, all that stuff out of it. If you believe that we can create a loving world, then start thinking those things and start creating those things from that place of that belief, that simple belief that we are creating a loving world. Why does it matter now? Why does that simple, loving thought matter now? It matters now because the world is so fearful. But there are more of us that want a loving world. All of us really do want a loving world in some way, right? Now, there are people who have the love of money. They're going to want the world to be loving. In their mind, it's because they have a lot of money. In reality, you can have a wonderful income doing loving things. But it always comes down to the love of money or the love of power. And those are where the fear-based ideologies come from or spring from. And they spring from them because the people who don't feel powerful strive for those things. And they create those things so that they can feel more and more powerful. The greatest power in the world is love. And you can be that love in any moment. The world needs people to be loving. I did over 1,000 private sessions last year. And there was a lot of scared people I talked to, scared because of what was going on in the world right now. My goal in life in that conversation was to get them to laugh, to get them to feel more positive about the future. And I think for the most part, I did. I got a lot of messages saying that I did help them. But the point was, my whole belief in that work was to deliver that love to the fearful. And my private sessions are designed specifically to empower individuals. Fear only disempowers. Everything I do in my private sessions is about taking the person and finding those beliefs that are limiting them from stepping into their power and thriving, and identifying them and showing them the way of breaking through, showing them how to step forward and create the loving world around themselves. That's why I do the work I do. It's so I think that we save the world one person at a time. And the first person you start with is you. You choose to be loving. You choose to be caring. You choose to live in a world that is becoming more and more loving every day. And when you choose that, you will start to see that around you, and the people will see that in you, and they will start expressing that. And right now, there's a lot of people who are afraid because of the harmful things that seem to be happening. In reality, the more we stay loving in this moment, the more those things dissipate. They're not in it for the long haul, but love always is, because love is always here. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. If God is love, then thou is love. I shall fear no evil, for love is with me. And you hold on to that loving expression. You believe that loving thought. You put it out there, and the people around you will become less fearful because you are fearless. Living in this present moment, loving in this present moment, showing no fear or anxiety because it can't exist in pure love. Help the world break free of these fear-based ideologies. You're the only one who can. The world doesn't get changed by forcing it to change. The world gets changed by making our part of the world so bright that the world chooses to save itself around us. That loving thought that starts that whole wave, that loving thought creates huge change. And if you could stay with that loving thought for even just a few moments, the next time that person comes up to you and they start yelling or screaming or trying to force you to their beliefs, exhale. Don't have the fear response. Shut off the primal mechanism. Exhale. Come back to that place of pure love and express that pure love into the world. Because you expressing that into the world will change the world, because people around you will choose other directions. They'll choose to release their fear and be more like you. Make your part of the world so bright the world chooses to save itself around you. It starts with you. Choose to believe we're creating a more loving world. Choose to believe that you are the delivery method of love into the world. Choose to believe when that person in front of you is angry and vitriolic and saying and doing terrible things, choose to understand that that is just their fear. And all fears break down to the fear of not being loved. And because they can all be broken down to the fear of not being loved, that means when you deliver love, you alleviate their fear. That gives them the opportunity to make new choices, make new changes. But it all starts with you and that first loving thought. Release your fear and come to that first loving thought of, why are they so fearful? How can I alleviate their fear? And when you can bring yourself to that position, you've changed the world around you. And that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.